G'day there guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not accepting my sister's relationship with my ex despite her having cancer as a teenager? So my father married my stepsister's mother when I was 4 and she was 3. We have lived together most of our lives and are a family. She and I were extremely close. She developed cancer when she was 14 and was sick for about 2 years. She has since made a full recovery. During that time, my parents became understandably overprotective. They also asked a lot of me. I quit my extracurriculars so I could get a job, and the money went towards her medical bills, and so I could drive her to appointments. I didn't go to dances, and any fun activities I did needed to include her. I did almost all of this willingly, the exception being having to quit my high school volleyball team. I did throw a bit of a tantrum about that, but was swiftly punished. And I think having one emotional breakdown was pretty chill given the circumstances. Anyhow, I go to college and meet my ex. We'll call him Ben, when I'm a junior. We fall in love, blah blah blah. He and I move in together when we graduate, so we've been living together for about 3 years. We were serious until July, when I walked into my bedroom and saw him banging my sister. I broke it off, tears were shed, he moved out, etc. My sister apologized at first, but then backed off. I thought she was giving me space, but last week, she called me and asked if we could meet up. She told me that she and Ben were in love and were just telling me as a courtesy before they started posting photos online. Distraught, I left her in the restaurant by herself and did not pay my portion of the bill. She later Venmo'd me, asking for the money. She told my parents, who then called me to their house, telling me how disappointed in me they are for not supporting my sister's relationship with Ben. They brought up the fact that because she had cancer as a teenager, she never learned proper social etiquette, and has a hard time meeting new people. I don't buy this, in part because I've seen her socialize just fine, and since we spent a good chunk of the time she was sick together, that would also mean that I should have bad social skills as well, by that logic. They then told me that if I don't accept my sister and Ben's relationship, they may have to go no contact with me. I reminded them that I'm also their daughter and they should understand my point of view, but they are adamant that this is about me being jealous of her. For the record, I'm not jealous of her. I'm not upset that Ben picked her over me. I'm sad about the end of the relationship and do feel betrayed, but Lord knows that I don't want to be with a cheater. What I'm upset about is the fact that my sister chose Ben over me, that she slept with Ben knowing he and I were in a long-term committed relationship and continues to be with him knowing how much it hurts me. Now, no one in my immediate family is talking to me, and I'm getting messages from aunts and uncles and cousins telling me that I'm an asshole and a selfish cow. Now in the comments, not the asshole. Your parents are enablers. Cancer as a teen did not shrink-wrap her and isolate her from the entirety of human morals and values forever and ever. Amen. From what you describe, it sounds disturbingly like you have been deemed the cannon fodder of the family. Take some time for yourself and put them on the back burner. Is it just cancer, or any potentially life-threatening disease that gives an exemption? I really need to know because I might have behaved unnecessarily for many years. Sarcasm, not the asshole. The audacity of her parents to think that OP should get over it and accept the new relationship. She walked in on her partner and sister. I'm sure stepmom wouldn't take it lightly if she walked in on dad doing his sister-in-law. Cancer schmancer. Not only that, but excusing it because she never learned social etiquette? I'm pretty sure even a child who was raised by wolves could figure out that screwing your sister's boyfriend is a no-no. Not the asshole. I had cancer as a teenager. I've managed not to have sex with either of my siblings' partners, weirdly enough. And OP says, maybe you were on a different treatment plan. Oh god, you're right. It'll be the socialized healthcare stopping me from living in this timeline. Also, I'm really sorry that your entire family are terrible. You were handling this with the grace that few could manage. And OP says, oh, don't you worry. I'm totally falling apart right now. I just have a dark sense of humor and no choice but to keep going with my life. Not the asshole. Oh, hell no. Your sister is using an illness that she had a decade ago as an excuse to sleep with your boyfriend and have that be okay. It's not. The fact your parents are going along with this smacks of having a golden child. I'm sorry to say that sometimes the trash takes itself out. Your sister is awful, your parents are and were awful. It was not your job to quit every activity to pay your sister's medical bills and drive her around. It's good that you know this now and can get some therapy and move on with your life. You deserve better people in your corner, and they are out there waiting for you. And now back up to the post, there is an edit. Thank you everyone so much for your comments. This has gotten more attention than I expected, and I'm having trouble keeping up, so if I don't say thank you, then thank you. I've been given a lot of food for thought. To be honest, while I've had moments where I've been resentful or upset about my teenage years, I've always thought that I did the right thing for my sister and for my family, and that time wasn't all miserable. I was very close to my sister, and we made things as fun as we could. But I didn't think of it as an abdication of my parents' responsibilities, or that they were doing wrong by me, which many of you pointed out. I definitely have a lot to think about. Thank you again for making me feel less crazy about all of this. And there's an update. Sometimes you can only laugh. Just got off the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said that he could explain a few things. I asked him why he was on Reddit instead of school, and he asked me why I was on Reddit instead of work, and I said touché. He told me that after my conversation with my mum, she went to his house and talked to my aunt, and here's the deal. Turns out my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben, but 4 months pregnant, which means she and Ben were banging for longer than I had even guessed. Apparently my parents are so adamant that I forgive her because I'm already ruining their experience of the first grandchild. That's right, I'm less important than my stepmom posting ultrasounds to Facebook. This is where we are at. Anyhow, I called out of work sick for the rest of the day and am going to drink a lot of alcohol. Like, a lot of alcohol, and then start thinking about what the F I'm going to do. And now it's time for the update. So I was asked for an update and thus here I am. 2 things to clarify before I update. 1, I didn't have a shitty childhood. The favoritism started when my sister was diagnosed. I moved out soon after and have been pretty independent since then. Not saying that how my parents treated me during those years was a-okay, but I wasn't Cinderella. And 2, I did not drink myself into oblivion. I had 2 white wine spritzes, but I appreciate the concerns from folks. Anyhow, the update. I got in touch with my sister and asked her to meet up again at a park. No bill involved. I asked her if she was pregnant, and she told me the truth. She said she wanted us to still be in each other's lives, and that she wanted me to be in her babies. A Redditor, and I forgot who, I'm sorry, mentioned that she may ask me to be the godmother, and that person was correct. But as many of you pointed out, if I didn't cut her off, I'd just become her bank and daycare employee. So I told her I could no longer be in her life. And I left her crying on a park bench and felt like the shittiest person in the world. I emailed my parents and told them how betrayed I felt and that I'd be cutting off contact with them. To my stepmom's credit, she apologized. She explained that she never thought my sister would live to have kids, and that she let her emotion over that get the better of her. Understandable. My dad said nothing, which is honestly what sucked the worst about all of this. Ben tried messaging me from a burner account for the first time since the breakup, but I blocked him without reading it. I didn't go nuclear and post the story to Facebook as some suggested, but I sent an email to the extended family members who I care about. I explained the situation and how I would be distancing myself from my family. Some have made it an us versus them situation, and as much as I appreciate the support, feeling like I'm in some valiant battle just makes me more tired, so I haven't been talking to much of anyone in my family. I feel lonely and crappy, but I think I made the right decision. Anyhow, not the most exciting update in the world, but hopefully everyone knows that I'm not dead. I do really appreciate the support I've gotten. It made me smile during a really shitty time. Now in the comments, I'm sorry things turned out this way and that you aren't a priority to your parents. But seriously, does she not realize that A, you and Ben were still sleeping together during those months and he could have just been stringing her along? B, has she never been in a relationship? How would she feel if you had done that to her? And C, she can always wonder now if Ben is cheating on her with someone else. But it would be karma. Ultimately, I hope your parents realize that you are just as important as she is, and their behavior is pretty shitty. Good luck. And OP replies to that, A, According to her, neither wanted to hurt me by telling me, which, lol. B, she has had a few boyfriends, but they've only lasted a month or two. C, for her sake, I hope he doesn't. And D, my stepmom told me that they will welcome me back with open arms when I choose to come back. I'm just not sure that I'll come back. They won't be giving up on my sister. That's the fun part of giving up on them. You don't have to care anymore. You don't have to feel hurt or play games. You get to just be. That's what you will start to feel when this all normalizes. Just give it time. Find a new hobby or dust an old one off. Make something of your complete own that none of them were invited or included in. That will be your place of solitude, the rock that you set up shop on. Well done. I could have written this 10 years ago. Personal bank? Check. Babysitter? Check. No boundaries? Check. Parents' butthurt? Check. And ugly crying? Check. Enabling my sister's shitty behavior was a disservice to her and to me. Like yours, mine also had medical issues. My family believed this excused her actions. Facing health challenges sucks, and it does not give you a no-holds-barred, free lifetime pass to use other people. I have no relationship with her children either, nor she with mine. When my family finally realized that I would not be guilted, manipulated, coerced, begged, or threatened into having a relationship with her, they finally shut up. They understand now that I'll show them the door as well. Every single time my mother started in with the guilting and attempting to emotionally manipulate me, I smiled and restated my position. No, I don't want to, I don't care. Oh well, too bad, goodbye. Block her on social media, filter her emails to your trash, block her number, and enjoy your life. Sometimes family is just an accident of nature. I like the idea that your family is like a pre-generated party in a game, and hitting adulthood means you can start swapping them out for other family members, friends and significant others that will be better for your long-term growth and happiness. And you say that you left her crying on a park bench and felt like the shittiest person in the world. You aren't. You made the right decision. Sometimes people aren't good to be in your life, and you have to do things even if they are hard. Keep trying to live your best life. Yeah, the sister really did this to herself. It's mind-boggling to think that you can do something so cruel to someone and expect them to just brush it off with no consequence. I'm glad OP is creating some distance here. There is no way the family wouldn't continue taking advantage of her. Our next post is titled, Would I be the arsehole if I let my nephew call me dad because he's ashamed of his parents? 5 years ago, when I was 21, my brother and his wife were sentenced to more than 20 years of prison. This left their then 2-year-old son, Danny, in my care. Due to the circumstances, I was given his full custody, and I have also legally adopted him since. As far as I'm concerned, he's my kid. However, I got him when he had began talking, and he called me Uncle OP, and I never addressed myself in any other way to him. 3 days ago, he came back from school in tears. We just started sending kids back to school here, and he wouldn't tell me what's wrong. I thought he was bullied or something like that, so I called his teacher to ask what's up. She was cagey at first, but then they apologetically told me that the class was supposed to write about their parents. Some asshole kids teased him because he refused to tell them why he wrote about me instead of his mum and dad. I talked to Danny and managed to get the rest of the story from him. During it all, he said something along the lines of, "Why can't I just call you Dad?" Now, that might just be him venting, and I'm taking this way too far, and I would be lying if I said I didn't like the sound of it. But also, I've been trying really hard to at least keep him aware of his parents' existence. I always write Christmas cards and take photos of him on his birthday to send to his parents, and I keep him involved in it, even if to only write his name at the bottom of the letter. Neither of us are enthusiastic about it, but I want to be able to say that we tried, if that makes sense. If he had asked to call me Dad because that's genuinely how he sees me, I would have said yes in a heartbeat. But he didn't. It was less a genuine want, and more out of shame of his parents, which I get, really. It's hard to be sympathetic knowing what they did, but he didn't. And if I had any say, he won't for a long time. I know I wouldn't be the asshole if I let him call me whatever he wants out of love, but would I still be justified if I let him call me Dad out of spite for his parents? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. Regardless of my opinion on their crime, objectively, it wasn't committed to their son. It prohibits them from doing their parental duty to him. But I think there's a difference between resenting your parents for being absent and being ashamed of them for being imprisoned. Now in the comments, not the asshole. I don't really think that it's spite though. He is still very young. Might be worthwhile having that, buddy, if you're gonna call me dad, that's your choice, and I would definitely be okay with whatever you decide. Talk, if you were down for it. Co-signing this, he might have felt this way, and this was just what finally brought it out. Talk to him. Not the asshole, but I have a feeling he doesn't want to call you dad out of spite. He probably feels like his parents are not really in his life, and your insistence to make him call you uncle probably makes him feel really lonely, like he doesn't have any parents. You are his dad. OP replies, "Oh, haven't really thought about it that way. Thank you for bringing this up." That's right. You adopted him. You are dad now anyway. There's a saying I think fits this situation. Any guy can be a father, it takes a special guy to be a dad. For all intents and purposes, you are this boy's father. Even if his biological parents get out of jail tomorrow, you are still his father. You adopted him after being given full legal custody. Realistically speaking, you are more his dad or parent than his ever were. Part of it might be out of spite, but more likely, it's because that's how he actually views you. Sometimes it takes something terrible like mean little asshole kids to realize that. Not the asshole either way, especially considering how young he is. If you consider him your son, then you are his dad. And OP says thank you. I think I might have to talk to him later about how he is seeing his parents. And now on to the update. First of all, I would like to thank you all for your replies, suggestions, and even personal stories. I really appreciate all of them. As per majority, or maybe even all, of the comments, I took Danny for an ice cream after school and really talked to him. Many of you speculated that he was mostly frustrated by the lack of concrete parental figures in his life, and it boiled over in a very stressful situation. And you were right. Poor kid was so terrified when I asked him, and I felt like crap. How did I not see this for so long? We talked it out until both our ice creams were melted, and I'm so proud that he's willing to talk it out with me, even if it makes me a little sad to hear such grown-up words coming from such a young kid. I think the exact resolution of whether he's calling me dad is a topic to be discussed over the course of many months, maybe even years. The most important thing is that I told him that I love him like he's my own son, and that when I talk about him to my coworkers, I call him my kid and my Danny, because that's what he is, and also because there's at least 2 other people in my office with Danny of their own. But mine is the best out of all of them. I told him that even if he's not comfortable calling me dad at home, he's free to do whatever it takes to protect himself. If he has to call me his dad at school so kids won't tease him, I'm glad I can help him. There is nothing to be ashamed of from not having a mum and a dad at home. But if telling people you do will get them to leave him alone, then by all means do it. I also sent an email about the last part to his teacher. She's new. This is her first class ever. I understand making mistakes, and she seems eager to steer her class in the right direction, and I'm all for turning this into a good learning experience for everyone. I mean, I screwed up too. Even if my intention was good, I still failed to see his needs through over my idea of doing what's right. To that end, I'm currently in contact with a child counselor, mostly to ask a trained third party for advice in dealing with my brother and sister-in-law, preferably before Christmas. I'd also like to keep that option open just in case, since some people wrote about potential traumatic outburst, which I think is a reasonable thing to prepare for. I guess that's everything from me. Once again, thank you all for your help and care. Now in the comments, both these posts were really wholesome to read, OP. From a child of divorce and a father of 2, the thing you are doing incredibly well here is being genuinely caring and considerate. If he doesn't already, he'll see you as his dad soon enough. Duh, of course your Danny is best. Congratulations for good talk. Keep up good parenting. And he will continue being the best because he has such a wonderful parental figure. This update made me so happy. Not because it's a good resolution for this poor kid to have to go through, but because it's clear he has a thoughtful, caring, and wonderful parent. I would also talk to the school about not assuming every kid has parents. It's very common for kids to have parents who are separated, deceased, to be raised by a single parent, their grandparents, other siblings, aunts and uncles, parents of the same sex. Like, in this day and age, a teacher asking students to write about their parents, instead of write about the person who raised you / someone you admire, shouldn't still have to be said. And there should absolutely be a zero-tolerance policy on teasing a kid because they don't have the nuclear family dynamic. OP's situation really isn't unique in many ways. We are long past the days where the nuclear family unit is the norm, so that school really needs to revise its policy on how to refer to families, because there was no reason for Danny to have been put in that situation in the first place. This is something I really wish teachers would take into account more, especially since a lot of elementary schools do family tree projects, and it just seems like that will marginalize kids who already feel like they don't belong. Foster kids spring immediately to mind, but plenty of other kids live in non-nuclear family structures that may be hard to wrangle into a linear kind of family tree. Also, in the US, they often do family trees to talk about immigration, which is all well and good until you have native kids in your class that you didn't know were native. Happens all the frickin' time. Non-native people think you can tell by looking, which, lol? And they're like, but we're not immigrants. And yeah, a lot of native people have some mixed ancestry, but I know quite a few people who have only native people on their family tree, and they simply do not fit into the way their teachers have framed the discussion, thanks to the teachers' ignorance. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to wrap up the episode today. I really do hope you enjoyed it. As always, smack that like button if you liked, dislike if you dislike. I'm going to have me a nice cup of water after this. I hope you have some water too. Remember to stay hydrated. It's summer season in Australia right now. It may be winter season in America or wherever you're listening to this, but that's no excuse to not be hydrated. Hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.